me, it's the one and only Paul Friends, welcoming you to Starfleet Universe On Call. And tonight, we have Barry, we have Dave. For all I know, we might even have Russ hanging around someplace, hiding, because I do co-broadcast on Twitch, and lately he's been over there. I'm not sure why, but obviously he likes it over there, and that is perfectly fine because I want people to join me. I hope people had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and New Year's. I had a nice break there, and well, I hope everyone had their own wonderful weekend. And talking about being back from Christmas, hey Barry.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. How about
Well,
yourself,
I
man?
just asked that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Before the show started, got to hear, that you had a good Christmas, and same here. Actually, my son was able to visit us for a bit, so it was it was nice. It was
Mm-hmm.
nice. You know.
That's good.
Yep. Oh yeah. The only big pain about that whole situation was that I spent the money to package up the gifts, send them UPS, so that they would definitely get it
Mm-hmm.
to his house in time for Christmas. And what happens?
Mm-hmm.
You have to pick up the packages and bring them back here. So I
Why
sent
is
packages
that?
just to go pick them up and bring them back to the house. you know, Minorly annoying, but hey, I'll take that when I have my son here. Because during this whole pandemic thing, we haven't been able to get to see him all that much.
That's sad.
Yeah, well, it's for his protection. Basically, mainly for his protection and the protection of his other people in his group home, and I can understand that completely.
Yeah.
Because I know the staff
Mm-hmm.
is very careful too, so that's always good. But anyhow, say the very least, I'm a little unprepared for today. Because I didn't really.
I'm completely unprepared.
Yeah. I know. I'm surprised when I texted her earlier, oh, what's the topic for tonight? Because if you did, I would have said, I don't know.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm probably gonna have to leave soon anyway because I have to wake up early in the morning.
hmm
And then next week, next Thursday, I have a really, really early wake up on Thursday because I have to be at my mom's place at 5 a.m. Friday
Ooh.
to take. No, I have to be at her place 5 a.m. Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So flying back. Yeah, I have to take her to the hospital.
For
She's
tests
having an
or
operation.
operation? Okay.
Uh, yeah, they're reversing her coloscopy bag.
Oh, okay.
That's it's semi-major surgery.
hmm
It's uh, not quite stitches, not quite open heart, but somewhere in between.
Understood.
Yeah,
But okay, so it sounds like I might not be able to see you next week either.
probably not.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
it's
Well, that's
crazy.
fine. I'll probably focus a little bit on shapeways, and you never know um, what else might happen between now and then. Because as I pointed out on the news portion of the podcast, um, ADB is getting all prepped up for this month's release of new Shapeways miniatures, and that's going to be happening on the 11th. So I have to wait and
Hmm.
see. The one thing
Now
that
with COVID, people are less likely to visit each other.
Mhm.
So how is that affecting their Shapeways sales?
Honestly, I
because
did not.
because you would think there'd be less
Well, it
less
depends.
face-to-face games.
No, it's yeah, it's it's 50-50 in my mind. Because of yes, people can't come by and see your beautiful miniatures as much. You can't play face to face, but at the same
Hmm.
time, you also have more money and more time to paint miniatures. So if you like to paint miniatures, you might actually be spending more. Because that's one thing
Time, yes.
they
A lot,
found
not
with
a lot of people have less money.
well, it depends upon the person. Some people have less money. Some people have
Yeah.
more money. The people who actually are working and have a job that doesn't
Hmm.
rely on them going into work, like a
Hmm.
restaurant and other manufacturing where they are definitely affected by COVID and not being able to go into work. Um, yeah, those are the people that will have less money. But the people like myself actually have a little more
Yeah.
money because of not traveling into the office as much. You
Sure.
can't go out to restaurants as much. And so we're not spending that. Even though yes, we're still doing some takeout. We're not going to restaurants. We're not going out to movies. We're not doing this other stuff. So we have a little more money than previously we had.
Yeah.
So as I said, it depends upon the person. So in some cases, I'm sure that the people are spending more money on miniatures. In other cases, they're spending less. You know, I'm not exactly sure
Yeah.
what the demographic that ADB has when it comes to miniatures. Now I
Right.
know Aaron Staley, him, yeah, he's been buying quite a few of them, and that's because he
Well,
got.
he paints them and resells them.
Well, he used to paint them and resell them. I don't think he resells them anymore. Um, but he's
Ah.
been kind of laid. Is it laid off? Exactly, I forget if it's laid off or furloughed. Um, he's a engineer, train engineer. So he drives the trains around,
Oh,
and,
okay.
and they don't need as many, which is weird to think about. But so that's why he's had more time at home. So
Right. Right.
so anyway, so that's one thing I'll probably be discussing next week. Though obviously I don't. I know there's some people who don't actually appreciate me talking about the ins and outs of miniatures, which I'll admit they can get kind of boring. They prefer to see painted. I'm sure they prefer to see painted miniatures and miniatures played on on an actual board, which I think would be quite interesting.
Hmm.
Though that is one thing
Right.
I did do. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure I discussed it last month, which was I talked to my daughter because my daughter is more of a YouTube kind of person when it comes, and
Hmm.
she does produce certain things for YouTube. Pieces videos together and creates an actual video from those clips. Um,
Right.
and helps other people do the same thing. Actually we haven't talked about that for a while, which is her working on MEPs. That's what they call them. MEPs, multi something people. It's multi editing people or something like that. It's a group effort basically is the whole idea. But anyway,
Hmm.
and the one thing she said was that that she thinks doing the whole miniatures things wouldn't really help much. That doing mainly electronically, basically using the online client, but do basically what they do with the NFL, and that is how they do highlight reels for the NFL, and do something along the lines
Okay.
of that for a game, to instead of the whole slogging through a 6 hour game,
Hmm.
because Lord knows, I know Barry, you've come in on some of what I've done for that, which is where I've basically taken the game that I've played. Actually, I've done quite a few of these already. And what I do is I crank it up. I crank it up. I mean, I really crank it up to like 4 times the speed, and then I slow down for certain parts. So they see what where
what's the critical part? Yeah.
Well, I slow down. Yeah, definitely. I slow down so they can see, okay, what is happening at this point? What's happening with energy allocation? What's happening with firing of weapons? Where also slow down to where this critical part of movement is, because a lot of times the general overall arc of the movement is all that matters. It's like, oh, he gets from here and he goes around here. Instead of. Could you try again? Sorry. I'm sure you heard that. Nothing. There. My Apple Watch went off. thought it said 2 words, which I will not repeat. But anyway, for the so that the whole idea, is to show those pieces, and she says, it must be much better to do like a highlight reel instead of going through the whole game, piece by piece. Now, obviously, the tough part about those kind of videos, like any other video, is that it takes a long ass time to do. To do editing, it takes a long time. In this case, I've got in this case, the last game was like I gotta think about this. I forget whether it was a 4 or 6 hour video. It might have been a 6 hour video. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was a 6 hour video because it was broken up into 2 pieces. And to edit that will take me somewhere around more like 10 to 12 hours to edit a 6 hour video. At least that's the way I see it, because I have to play through it little by little and find out, okay, where's the highlights, and get those clips. And of course, then I also have to have the voice, the audio along with it. So I need the dialogue, and which I'm not sure how the heck you do that, because, well, I guess what I'd have to do is go through the game, watch it in full, take notes on it, and then after I take notes on it, then I might have to talk to my daughter about that some more. Well, I think she's got it right, which is to do basically highlight reels. But the problem with the highlight reels themselves is, how do you create a highlight reel? It's not like I work for the NFL and it's like, oh yeah, that's simple. We just do this. This is the process we do. Like, what would the process be? Because I know I actually talked to her about helping me with a video for my archery club. And basically, she said what I need to do first was to write down the script, what do I want to say, possibly even what she wants me to do is actually record the audio. And then she's going to fit the video to that audio. So, which I can understand. I can see that as the process. I'm not sure that is the correct process, but that's the one she says that works for what I want for that kind of video. The whole idea of that video, which I'd like to get back to, because I've taken pictures, I've recorded video for the Reading Archery Club, and that is to be able to kind of create like an advertisement to say, oh, this is what Reading Archery Club is about. Come and join us, so you can join the archery club and be part of this experience, that kind of thing. So,
Right.
you know, there aren't that many archery clubs. There's enough.
No.
I know there's one near me towards Robisonia. The only reason I even know it exists is because of I've seen their sign when they're running tournaments. They have it signed right there on Penn Ave. But anyhow, yeah. So you know, actually, the one thing I was going to get into tonight, actually, that I just happened to come upon it, so I said, "Oh, I think that might be a good idea to talk about." Which I'm not sure if you're interested in even thinking about. You might just want to beg off here.
Yeah, it's actually 10 o'clock, and I have a 4 a.m. wake up. So
Okay, well, Barry,
I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, you have a good night, and
Good night.
I will see you hopefully in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. See you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. Okay. Yes. What I was going to actually talk about is actually this. What this is I'm sure you see the title. It's just tried it, didn't like it. And that is that me and Steve Cole had a little discussion over email. And Lord knows, I think I talked to him about it because, what the whole idea of this next generation of background images and ship definitions, which I think will really improve things when it comes to the quality of the client itself. I think it will really help. He comes back to me and says, "Oh, that's we think that's a waste of time and so forth, and you shouldn't be doing it." Well, I already talked to him. It's not like he didn't know about this. I talked to him about it. I emailed him. I showed him. I sent him emails of here is what the background image is. This is what the ship definition is going to look like. So he has a good idea of what it's going to look like. It's not like I'm doing anything behind his back. I asked for permission to do it, and his response was, "I guess." And at that point, when I said, he said, "I guess," to me, that I took that as approval. He thought I was going to come back and just say, "Okay, when, if you don't think it'll improve things, that we won't do it." Because here's the one thing that he does not realize overall, and that is, I'm not doing much work for that. It's all, Frank and Matt and and Aaron and all those guys doing it. So, it's like Steve, what do you think I'm doing? What do you think I'm doing here? So they say, "Oh, it's a waste of time." So it's like, okay, well, so that whole thing's now on pause. And my guess at the moment is because as soon as he found out that Aaron was involved, that he thinks it's just going to implode, and I don't think that's the case, because even though Aaron can be a handful, yeah, he can, he's very opinionated, and the way I want to use him, I think that being opinionated is a great thing, because he knows how he wants things, and that's the way things are going to be. And that's a good thing. If channeled properly, that is a good thing. That means you get a consistent product. And that's one of those great things that we had when he was running the library. We had, the SSDs, which will look like, SSDs from SFB, which is what Steve Cole squawked at, but also consistently had kind of not not a Crawford box, but something related to a Crawford box. We had a lot of information about the ship on the side, but each of the ships had that information. So it was a very consistent look and feel. Now, unfortunately, he kept on going over it again and again. So he kept on updating things, which actually was good. There was also some errors, which we found out later when we did some conversions. So, okay, he's not perfect. So that's not where I'm. So that is what it is. But so what Steve Cole said, we really need to improve the client. It's like, okay, we're going to improve the client. Well, how can I improve the client? So Steve Cole just posted this, as you can see, on the 6th at 2 o'clock in the morning. Not sure what he was doing awake at 2 o'clock in the morning. Even let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning my time, which it probably is. He's in Texas, so that's like almost midnight. That's midnight or even a little. Yeah, I think he's in Mountain Time. It could be Central Time. If it's Central Time, that's 1 o'clock in the morning. If it's Mountain Time, it's 12 o'clock midnight that he posts this message. Which, come on, that's nuts when it comes to being up that late. I'm not even up that late. I can be kind of a little nutsy too. And just asking people, why, okay, tried it but did not like it, as the title will say. Basically, what are the things that you tried about the online client and that's the reason why you left it, you didn't like it at all. And there are definitely some comments here about it. And this is why I came up with a topic for this evening, because I heard this and I'm still not sure what with David Merritt what his issue was. Most probably, my guess is the antivirus solution is causing issues, because Lord knows it causes more issues than it solves in my mind. Especially with Windows 10, where you don't need a separate antivirus solution. But, and then Ginger talks about, which is what's the one thing? He said a major improvement would require, and I agree that the major improvement require. Now, here's always the gotcha, and people who know me, and I've talked about this in the past. I'm not sure, if those people listening now actually heard me mention it before, which is, I am not a UI designer. I am truly not a UI designer. I can get a pretty good idea on things, but I'm a developer. It's like the SFU online client is like any other tool, in that I know the quirks in and out. I know how to use it. Whether it is good or bad, I can't tell. I just know how to work it. So I think it's a pretty decent interface. Now, the tough part is about the interface is when people say things like it's not intuitive. Not saying it's not intuitive does not tell me any information. It means, it tells me this. When you say it's not intuitive, it tells me that it's not working the way you expect it to work. But here's the problem. I don't know what your expectations are on how it should be working, how things should be laid out, and so forth. It doesn't tell me anything. If you can do something like, I expect it to work more like this game or this game or this game, because yes, as pointed out by who was it? Here, Andrew Koch, and that is some people come and what they're not expecting a client. They're not expecting a program which helps them to play a board game. I'll blow this up a little bit so it makes it a little bit easier to read. For those watching the video. But that, they're not expecting that. They're expecting Starfleet Command is what they're expecting, which died. Basically, it's all, in my mind, it's all because of Paramount that it died. It doesn't help. Part of that was that they, got in my mind, they got the Paramount license. They got all that wonderful, they got licensed all that wonderful material, but then the program itself was crashy, it was buggy, and it didn't work well. After Paramount got involved, the first version was based off of all the mechanics were more of a dynamic SFB, a real time SFB. And that worked out quite well because the great thing here's the one thing about games. And that's one thing I've heard multiple people write about, which is sometimes an electronic game doesn't always work well. And the reason why it doesn't always work well is because of the developers are trying to fix things on the fly. They don't do what they should do, which they point out. Some of the reviewers I've listened to mention this, which is it feels like they have a set of rules that they use to implement the game instead of they have this vision of a game. Instead of writing up rules, basically have it so they can play the game without being on the computer. And the computer just makes it look nice and cool and whatever. I'm not. That's the question on that is, I could probably, I'm not sure what to do to make it look nicer at the moment, but because I said I'm not a UI designer. But here's so if they're expecting a video game, they're not going to get a video game. They're getting a board game. They're getting a client. They're getting a program which allows people to play a board game. That is what SFB Online is. If you're expecting something else, I'm not sure why you expect that. The reason I say that is because, oops, I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go to SFB Online. This, my friends, this is the website. What part of this part of the website makes you believe that this is a video game? What part of it does it say it's a video game? It shows a board with counters. It shows you the SSD here. This is obviously this is an old screenshot. That's the welcome page. Shows you a screenshot of the SFB Online client in the middle of playing a game. Obviously this is a Mac, just because this whole thing's, wow. Let's look at some of the programs that I was running at the time. But anyway, this is what it is. I'm not sure why people say, oh, they're expecting a video game. It's like, where'd you get this from? If they went directly to the download page, yeah, I can see that. That, but still, yeah, here's Fedcom. So I'm not sure where people get that misinterpretation. Now, can the client be improved? Yes. The question is how to improve it. That is the gotcha here. Really. Because of there's just way too much going on and a little way to figure it out. SFB is a complicated game, and there's some people there. Now, I agree that I need to do this, which is I need to create YouTube videos which shows you how to use the client. Now, I've already done some of these already. Now, do I need to redo them? Yes, I need to redo them. I've shown, basically, what I've done is I've shown tutorials on how to use the client. Now, some of these are pretty old. So, actually, I have to go back and look at some of the videos. Now, obviously, there might be a minor issue here in that those videos, I don't have a link on my website to the YouTube videos. At the same time, I'm not, which I think that's a bad on my part. There is, where is it in this one? Which is, where is it? Where is it? Well, I might see. The thing is, one thing I might need to do here, and I hear it. Where is it? It's okay. I don't see it, and I don't want to waste your time looking for something that I know what says, and that is, I say when you sign up for a demo account, you never sign up for a demo account. You just can install the client, click on demo account, and it will go. What I probably need to do in that case, I need to change it because I think I agree now. Okay, I'll get to this one right here. I'll get to that in just a moment. But I probably going to need to change the way I do that because currently you don't even need an account. I don't even need to know what your true email address is. You don't need to register. You don't need to do squat. All you need to do is give a pseudo email address to start playing, and just say I want to use a demo account. And so it's demo _ whatever. Now, given that, the thing is that I think they got a point there. I've got to change the way that you actually play with the client, i.e., get access to the client. Basically, I have to change my model to be more of consistent with today's model. And I think at the very least it will get more people. I think it might get more people, and that is change it from the current model, which is you don't need to tell me anything about you, and you're able to play and watch games and things like that, to the model where you sign up, you register for an account, and at that point you have a demo account. It's a free account. You have limited resources. You can do certain things, and that's it. Now, Makes it interesting. Um, but the good thing about that, about having something like that, is that you have people sign up, and then what you do is you send them an initial email. Um, in that initial email, what you do is you send them, say, okay, hey, welcome, welcome to signing up for SFB online, or some kind of welcome email. But in that email, it can go to, we have many videos on YouTube on how to use the client. Go here, bump, 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 bump. And then at that point, I then have to go. What I should do at that point is go track users, not track them all over the internet, that kind of tracking, but go check to see, okay, this person, have they logged in? Did they actually log into the client and use the game, or at least at the very least log into the client? Because outside of logging in the client, when it comes to analytics, it gets really difficult. To me, that's one of those things that I probably have to start thinking about, is how to have some kind of analytics when it comes to the client. What are you doing in the client? Are you just chatting? Are you actually starting games? Are you adding ships? And so forth like that. Now, doing analytics on how you use the client gets difficult. Which is finding out, okay, what problems you have, having the analytics done and put into the client so I can see where your difficulties are. I don't know exactly how you could actually add analytics to existing code base. I have no clue how you do that, and my guess is that there is no software that currently will do that. I know there is for iOS apps. I'm sure there's the same thing for Android apps, but Java-based desktop apps, I don't think so. I know there's definitely ones for web-based apps, which currently this is not. So it gets interesting. So I probably should be doing more along those lines. Now, getting back to what I just highlighted on the screen here, and that is Cadet Game. Currently, actually, don't mind me, I've been working on Starfleet Warlord, which, if you've been watching watching the podcast, I showed off last month some of the work I'd done for Starfleet Warlord and getting that all going, and I might be working on that this weekend. At the very least, I'm going to be working on websites, I can tell you that. Okay, let me just do this. I'm just going to bring up. Boom. Boom, boom. Don't mind me. This is developer stuff. Normally you don't run this. This is for my development mode. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my. Yeah, this is one of those things that I did, which was on request, which is don't save the password. So I don't save the password anymore. I'm going to just go to authenticated mode. Now, I hate this wording. I just haven't figured out a better wording for it, which is, it's not offline mode. There was actually, at some point, there was an offline mode. The offline mode no longer exists. But it's an authenticated mode. Well, authenticated mode, because offline mode, previously what you could do is you could actually download the whole library onto your computer and then just use offline mode and use the software then. Unfortunately, that was part of the issue for Steve Cole, which was basically people could download those SSDs, and at that point you never needed another. You could just use those SSDs without paying for anything. So the authenticated mode, it's still download. Basically, it's a way of logging in without logging in. You don't actually log into the game server, but you're authenticated, which means that you can still bring up the game rooms. You can still play kind of off by yourself, kind of offline, but it still requires you to be online. So if someone has a better word than authenticated mode, please tell me, because it's the best one I could come up with, so that it gives an indication to people that they're actually logging in, even though you have the, but you still are required to have internet access. Now, this might no longer be an issue. In the past, internet access was spotty sometimes, and so forth, and that could be an issue. These days, it's not nearly as much of an issue, because most people who are who have a browser, there can be online. Now, unfortunately, this game is relatively low bandwidth, so you can get away with a lot. You can play as using DSL with no issue, because of this is not a video game. That's why you can get away with it. But anyway, okay, let's go in authenticated mode. Let's bring up a new game room. I hate that the way that works, but I can't think of a better way of doing it. Okay, that is right here. There is a cadet version, which is, it does have certain things, which is, the idea is it has the different scenarios. You can do battle drill, scenario and attack, and convoy raid. Yeah, okay. Yeah, convoy raid, here's what it gives. You can play, you get to select what kind of ship you have. And it has the freighter, so you can fight them. Under attack, I forget what that is, and battle drill. Yeah, this is not updated in the way this is one thing I still haven't figured out there's a bug here and I haven't figured it out yet. But you can do a start. The whole idea, as you can see, is your constellation, and it's all these drones, and the idea is at this point then you use the client to play out that scenario. Has all the thing is, it has everything that's normal for SFB. You got your shuttles, you got the information about what the status of the different things are. In energy allocation, because even in cadet, and actually in this case, there is no need for the energy allocation. For initial scenario number 1 in the cadet training manual. But it's things that I need to work on, like the impulse chart. It's an 8 impulse chart. So, and of course the drones are speed 8. You're speed 8, so you get to fly around and chase them. Now, I forget. I have to look at the cadet training manual. I've got one. I actually have a card copy. I forget exactly how these things move. Now, I think obviously one of the things we'd want is a way of automating the movement. Now, here's always the gotcha for this kind of stuff. When it comes to automation of moving vessels and things like that, the client needs to know when you are done. Because I can say, oh, here, I want to. Okay, first. Yeah. Actually, I forget if scenario one you actually do an energy allocation. Again, I have to look at it. But Um, so you move. So in the case of the ship, it's selected. Okay, you move forward. Drone moves forward. This can move forward. This can move forward. This can move forward. And this can move forward. Now, I forget if the drones have automated rules or not. Again, but the point being is that the cadet handbook, the scenarios are already there in the client. It's just that it's not automated. There are certain I really would like to automate this process more, but there's certain things. Okay, let's say that these drones are automated. The way they move is automated, which it can be. The question at that point is, of course, let's say that okay, I move. Now the question is, when are you done moving? Are you completed movement? Because if we're going to automate it, what I probably need to do is add another button to say completed. Movement's complete. Some way of telling the client you are done. Yeah, you moved, but I can't assume that you're completed. Now it's possible at that point that you move, then at that point I can see a nice feature where in the case, at least in this step, the cadet training manual, the cadet training scenario, where you move, and if these are automated, that you move, it sees that you're the only ship. You move, and that'll automatically move, and so you can see how that your movement can affect the seeking weapon movement. For example, actually, this one I need to back out. This one actually, if we're following seeking weapon movement rules, this actually would have to turn because it always has to get closer to the ship. So, given that, if it's automated, that's what it would have to do. Now, in this scenario, it's relatively simple, and in theory, it could be done. It just makes it more difficult. It comes to EA. I don't remember if by the time you get to scenario number 1, whether you do energy allocation. Can it actually help you do energy allocation? I don't know. Possibly because in this case, it could, in theory, for the cadet, it could automatically do that. It already does certain things, which is automatic to the client, which is it automatically adds up your total power. It puts in the battery power that's supposed to be in energy allocation, puts in the amount that's a power is required for active shields. And the thing is, yes, there's a lot of EAs here. And the question then comes into being, this EA definitely would have to be trimmed down, could be simplified for cadet, because do we need the recharge for the reserve power? No, because I don't think the cadet training manual goes through the reserve warp. EM, I'm pretty sure it doesn't cover that. Damage control, I'm pretty sure it doesn't cover that either. Specific reinforcement, I'm pretty sure it does cover that later on. But a lot of the stuff is not needed as part of the cadet ship. Here's the SSD. The SSD is this little cadet ship. See damage control, movement. So I can probably do some modifications there to simplify that process. automating it. Yeah, I actually worked on some of that. What actually got me, you know, stuck was, as I pointed out, which is right here, which is the scenario where you can say, okay, battle drill. Battle drill now doesn't show anything, and that's fine because of there is no choice. Now, should I possibly say what the scenario number one is? Probably. But, you know, as I showed you before, you know, okay, under attack, which this actually has two ships, if I recall correctly. It has one Klingon and one Federation, which in this case, it should show the ships. And convoy raid, you know, let me see if, you know, that'll fix it. I forget if this will fix it. Yeah, there it is. So if you move it, it shows up. But I'm not sure why it requires that. You know, there it is. See, your side, and then you have the drones under. So it has it in the client itself. It's got the scenarios saved. The idea is that you can then go play through the scenarios for the cadet training manual using the client. Most probably, my guess is what they want is something that's more of an automated feature, where you can basically learn how to play SFB using the cadet training manual in the client itself. You know, Dakota incident, which is this, which is, you know, Federation with the Dakota, which is the freighter. This actually was interesting itself. Actually, let's go back to the convoy raid. Let's just go like that and go start, which is the Klingon against these guys. And to me, the interesting part about this is this. I actually, if I recall correctly, I had to create this freighter. I got to check this because I'm not sure. That doesn't look right. This does not look right. I'm not sure why that's there. But I had to create this freighter. I'm pretty sure I had to do that. For the cadet training manual, you know, for that. Again, I have to look at it. I think part of it is I think they're looking for more of an automated system for helping people to learn the game. Now, there's only so much I can automate. You know, so as I said, you know, simplifying some of this stuff down, I can probably simplify some of this stuff down. Obviously, opponent, I forget if, I have to double check. I forget if this is designed for single, I'm pretty sure it's designed for single person, but I forget if I wanted to actually allow for, I think, yeah. Yeah, see your side and the other side. This things like this, where actually the idea is you have more than one player. And I forget if this allows you, if the cadet one allowed you to actually have two players. I don't think I ever got to that part. Implementing, because as I said, as you can see, I actually did some work on implementing a cadet training, you know, a cadet room, so people can actually play those scenarios. So I'll probably reply about that. And this guy, this is why I really want to look into, and I have been working on a little bit, and it's going to take me months to even to create a what I call a minimum viable product. That is to the idea of making the whole client web based, because then I don't have to worry about people like this, people like David Merritt. I don't have to worry about him having problems installing because of stupid antivirus who think I'm malicious. Or the program's malicious, and it's not. So, sorry, that ticks me off that antivirus can't do its job. It seems, it thinks anything that's based on Java is a virus. It's like, what the, or malware in some way, shape, or form. I just want to freaking ring the stupid antivirus vendors because they're moronic. Yeah, so I've had a couple of people ask for a detailed user's manual. I have an old user's manual which don't look works because things here. Okay, let's go back for a moment. The big issue I have with user's manual for the client is the client, when I'm actively working on it, is actively changing. The UI is changing, and updating the user manual for those updates. A change that takes me 8 hours, now it'll take me 20 hours. Because it'll take me additional 12 hours to update every part of that user manual which reflect on that screen. Creating a user manual is not an easy task. And Lord knows I know this from an actual documentation person. Because him and I, we had a heart to heart on that. Now this, doing YouTube walkthroughs, I can do that. As I said, I've already done some of those. Now, those videos are kind of out of date at this point, but I probably should, do some of those. Will I do them this weekend? Oh, nope, I don't think so. It's I have only so much. I have a limited amount of time each day to do things outside of my job, which my job starts at 6:30 in the morning and it ends at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. After that, then I have other responsibilities like making supper for my kids, because for my wife, she's busy with her job until possibly after dinner's made and on the table, and she'll reheat whatever I made. So I'm outside that. I'm not done working until 7 o'clock. In that case, the question is, what do I do at that point? Do I actually take a break from working? Do I do something for SFB Online? Do I do something for Starfleet Warlord? Do I do something for Friends Games? Because that's one thing. Now that we rolled over to the new year, tax time. So I have to make sure I go through all of my, all my expenses, all my income for the business, and then I have to go categorize everything because I've fallen behind on some of that. And that's going to take me 6 hours, if not longer, just to go through all this stuff and get working so that I have all my stuff prepared for tax time, for when my taxes are due, and then we give our information to our tax person, because because my wife now also has her own business. It's gotten complicated enough that we can't do it. We can no longer do it by ourselves. We actually have a tax person who actually prepares our taxes these days, versus up until this past year, I was doing my part of the taxes. We were doing completely electronic, and we could actually handle it because I got I knew all the forms, knew everything about what I needed to fill out. But when Comes to her business, it's a totally different thing, because she has a constant income. She has to do quarterlies and all that kind of things, and I can avoid doing quarterlies, because Lord knows, actually, in theory, I'm supposed to do quarterlies, but the state has not squawked at me for not doing quarterlies. I still give them money at the end of the year, like everybody else. And because the problem is, how do I do quarterlies? I can't do quarterlies. I have no clue what, it's not like I can, usually the idea of quarterlies in my mind anyway is to prepay your taxes. Pay the taxes not for what the past quarter was, but what's going to be the next quarter coming. At least that's my understanding. Now I might have things wrong about that, but anyhow. Okay. Let me just do this just real quick. I'm just wondering. Nope, didn't get a response. Yeah, I might sign up for that. But anyway, I think I'll let go with that. Hopefully, we will get more information from people, because I'm waiting for Mr. Cole, because he's waiting for basically a report from Gene Sexton and okay, what is wrong? Why do they not want to use the client? What's wrong with it? Yes, is it a little bit complicated? It can be, but it's a tool like anything else. Let's just bring up a regular game. What we have here, we have your game control. You can add a unit, remove a unit. You have filters. You can filter what you actually see up here. This is go to previous step, go to next step. Actually, I need to change that. That should be step. That should be impulse. Okay, this is simultaneous events. This is for those times when you have a simultaneous action that needs to be resolved. Fire, so it goes right to fire, and activity, because what I might have to do for some people is remove a lot of the stuff. People want it simplified. Okay, I can simplify it. I can get rid of a lot of the stuff. I can hide it better. Configure, which is, that's for configuring this thing. I know way back when, in the annals of time, back when Ken Burnside was actually interested in the client and using the client. Basically, he wanted me to take these pieces and have it so that you can basically configure your own pop-up windows. Something more along the lines of Adobe. I think he said like Adobe Photoshop, where you can create these palettes. And I can see that be very useful. So I'm not sure how to make this better. What I could easily do is I'm not sure. Some of these things this is necessary. This is not necessary, but I thought it was useful for people who just want to go. Yeah, okay. If you want to go right to the fire decision part of the segment, that won't. Yeah, activity. That would actually bring up the activity window and say, okay, what activity are you doing? So you're going to announce what activity you're doing, and in that activity window, let me do this. Let's add a piece so I can show you. There and close. You can go to the activity window. Now, you have the different activities. Boom, boom, boom. I have this, and do it. I was thinking about possibly having the possibility of using a list, but right now it's a nice tree. So the idea is you can actually jump to different places. I'm assuming that you know where you want to go. Then, of course, there's the quick selection down here. So you can go right to chain speed, tractor, lab, launch plasma torpedo, transport, use the transporters, launch, go to seeking weapon. I added, the Aegis firing opportunities into this one because this has the full one. And the idea is, of course, here, is that when you select that up here, then down here you have the actions, which you can do. And if there's more than one action, you can change. You can select your action that you want to do. Launch plasma. I don't have any plasma. Actions just launch plasma or no action. Drone, same thing. I don't have any drones. Because if it would, if you had a ship that had drones, it would show up right here. And change speed. Here's now it's change speed, and just change the speed here, and click change. Select the speed plot. I'm not sure how better to do this when it comes to the impulse activity. Part of it is, in my mind, now I might have got this wrong, which is part of this, I think, in my mind, is that people that come to play using the online client don't know how to play SFB. If you know how to play SFB, some of the stuff makes sense. As I pointed out, when it comes to the activity, impulse activity, that makes sense to someone who knows SFB. If you don't know SFB, if you expect the client to do everything for you, that it actually implements all of the rules for SFB, you are absolutely freaking nuts. Because one, that cannot happen. Can more of it be implemented? Yes. But remember, when it comes to those certain things, that this is SFB. If you don't know SFB, you're in trouble because of what's the things that you need to know about SFB. One, there are these different stages. Now, I agree that the client could do more about helping you along. Here's always the gotcha. Here is the true gotcha on this, and I do mean this. I tried to I implemented it for FedCom, a client that enforced the rules. What happens? I implement the rules wrong, in which case the client is unusable at that point because there's no way to get around it. There's no way to fix it. That's why the client needs to be a tool to help them play the board game, not an enforcer. That's one thing I found out the hard way when it comes to FedCom. So, can the client help things along a little bit? Possibly. There's certain things I'm not sure how you would do, and I've thought about this many times. I'm confused about it. For example, when you first start the client, what do? You're going to log in. Okay. I think that part is pretty obvious. Okay? Because the first thing when you bring up the client, as you see, boom, You have the client asking you to log in. Okay, you log in. Now, at that point, yes, it's a little confusing. I'm not exactly, about you get thrown into what's called the bullpen. Basically, the general room where everyone comes and just chats. In that case, people can say, "Oh, you want to start a game? Okay, you can start a game. You can play a game." Now, that point, yes, could there something be done better? Yes, because okay, how do you start a game? There should, I know, I know that the client should allow you to easily start a game or join a game. Obviously, um, some of that is already there because let me go back to here. Throws you in. Okay. Oh, did it again. Log in. This time I want to actually online. And I typed it in wrong. Okay. Now we have up here we have the different rooms. You have SFB rooms. I'm not sure what SFB transfer is used. Probably two guys are using it for transferring, but you got all these people already in here. You know, and then you know, you can join a game by double clicking, and you can join the game room. Now, I'm not sure what he's doing at the moment. Obviously, he looks like he's got a map, one of the maps. Wow. For all I know, that might be. Okay. Ground bases. Defending. You got the Zinnies coming in. Attack. Looks like Frank is in here. But you can still see his ships because that's the way the client currently works. Okay, then you can exit the game. But I agree that you see the rooms, you don't know what they are. Now, you can see the users here, and you can see the rooms here. And the rooms are basically there's for playing the games. Now, I guess part of it has to be change of the way it works. So the rooms that you see, I don't know how to better represent it. I understand that currently when you get to this point, okay, what do you do? At the moment, game you can start a new game. There's these other ones which are whatever. Those can be ignored, but possibly get rid of everything here. Basically, when you come in, you see one thing. You see the bullpen chat window, and that's it. And then you have buttons which say start a game or join a game, and you don't see what the current games are or something. I don't know. There's different ways of doing it, and I'm not sure. And the problem is that if I start working on those things, the question comes into being is how many people actually like the changes? And if I screw it up, well, I have no way of going backwards. I can do all the branching and stuff, but that's how many hours will that for me to redo this port, just the starting screen, that's going to take me 10 hours, if not longer, just to redo it. Just to make it so that people know what to do when they click on the, how to, I'm not even sure whether it cause more confusion or not, That's why, it might be better just to stay, don't worry about the client, work on the web-based version and just go from there and just stay, start from scratch. Start from scratch all over again. That might be the better way of going. Anyhow, I'm sorry. You guys aren't seeing this. I'll bring it up again just so you guys who are on the video feed can see it, which is this. This is what you see. You see the users. This one big chat room, and then you have the rooms up here, and you can also see the users, individual users, if you want to see all the users that are logged in. The question is, as I said, redoing this will take me quite a few hours. Is this the best way of engaging people? Probably not. But again, as I just previously stated, is it better to redo this or start from scratch? Starting from scratch, I can probably get a minimum viable product which doesn't have all the features that the current client has. A minimum viable product probably in like 6 months. I've worked on some of it already, and I've shown in the past some of the features, how it does work. So you can see the impulse activity, the impulse chart. You can see the SSD. Actually, I even got it now, so it actually will draw a board. I think I even have it so that it will draw the labels for the hexes too. So, that's good. And there is one thing which is always I was thinking about earlier, which is this hex based. The question, in my mind, is there anyone who actually would play it hex based, but you don't actually see the positions of everybody? Don't know. Because the thing is, you need those hex lines mainly for two things. One, firing arcs and shields. What shield to hit and the firing arcs. So, anyhow, I'll quit out of this. Why is it not? That's weird. Whatever. I'm not sure, but I just caused myself to have issues with. But anyhow, does the client need to be improved? Yes, the client needs to be improved. Do I know what needs to be changed? No, I don't know what needs to be changed or how to improve it. I'll be waiting for Gene's report in the next month, this upcoming month. It's already been a week. I think Steve Cole said it was going to be something like mid-January or something like that. But before she gets her report in to say, okay, what's wrong? My guess is what I might have to do to really have someone tell me what's wrong with it is I might see if I have to. I don't know how the heck you find these people. Find a UI evaluator basically. Because I'm not a UI designer. I don't know. I don't have a vision for the way things look. I'm a back end person. I can get things to work. Do they look pretty? Yeah. And just to bring it back around, which is the only reason the SFB Online is the way it is today is one reason, only one reason. That is one person named Paul Scott. He's a rated ace, but he sat down and he wrote down many suggestions on. Okay, he did a really, really good job of going, this is the way it works. This is the way I expect it to work. And I changed the client to meet what his expectations were. And it became a much better client after that point. And that's why we have what we have today. Without that, we'd still have a really, really clunky. I mean, if people think this is clunky, you don't know what clunky is. A clunky client that was really difficult to use. I could use it because I knew how it worked, and that's always difficult for developers. Developers can't see past their own failings. They know how to use their own product because they know their product. And that's why you need someone outside of yourself to evaluate and look at things and be able to tell you what's wrong. That's why I've said so many times in the past, which is any feedback you can get from those initial people, it's gold. If they can tell you what's wrong, what was your expectation, if you can say, well, it wasn't, the UI was clunky and unintuitive. Okay. Can you tell me what you were expecting? When you had to log in the client, what was your expectation of what you would see? When you brought up a game room, what is your expectation that you would see and how you would interact? Without that, I'm clueless. Because, unfortunately, I'm too close to my own product. I know how my own product works. And then we have these old people. These people that have played the client for 10 to 15, maybe even longer years, who know how it works. Obviously, there are probably some features that they don't know about. But for those people who know how to work it, they know how it works and they will use it. But they won't see the failings in it because they know how it works. That's why the new people, that's why those hearing from the new people is freaking gold. Because that's where I can modify and change things and know what the people are really thinking. What really is the issue. So, with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.